as a kid, I was a huge Sega fan, and even today, and if you look behind me, of course, you know I love my Sonic, of course. And as a kid, certain things kind of eluded me. The Sega CD, the Sega Saturn, the 32X, the Master System, and as of today, I now own all of those except for the Master System. I got the Sega CD and the 32X in an eBay lot. We're going to open it up, see how it is, and see if in 1992 it was, if that technology still works today in 2019. If you like videos like this, unboxings, reviews, just Sega stuff in general, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn that bell notification on so you get notified of when our videos do go live. Now, something I bought before the eBay auction went to, well, fruition, and I picked this up today, just kind of worked out, was Sonic CD. And usually, you just want to see how it is, and then as soon as you open it up, well, this one in particular, I got a big waft of something called smoke. This is a PSA. If you sell stuff and you come from a smoking home, please put that in your listing and please dock some points for it. Holy crap, this thing was bad. Like, as soon as I walked up to the door, I could just, it was bad. It was bad. I had to throw the long box away and had to take it from my Madden game for the Saturn. And I didn't want to do that, but I'm gonna have to buy another one so I can replace that long box. It's done, all right? But that's out of the way. Okay, so we bought a Sega CD and a 32X lot on eBay, and we got a lot of Genesis games with it, so we're gonna unbox it, see how it is, see if it works, see if Sonic CD works, and we're going to make sure how did I fare when it comes to the current market value of all these items. Did I overpay? Did I underpay? Is the seller gonna find out, holy crap, I just lost a crap load of money? We're gonna find out right now. Alright, so it's time to break open this bad boy. Of course, this was a lot that I bought off of eBay, included two Model 1 Sega Genesis, the Model 2 Sega Genesis, and the Model 1 Sega CD, as well as the Sega 32X. The 32X, the Model 2, and the Sega CD were all things I did not have as a kid, so me being a absolutely responsible adult, here we are, 2019, and I bought these things, and of course they came with a lot of games as well. Some games I absolutely do not own, and some games I do. So there's going to be some duplicates in this. It'll be a good trade bait to retro shop that I can get things that I don't have or get things that I want. And, well, let's take a look at what we got here. So let's start off here. Of course, the #1 title that everyone wants to know about is Shaq Fu. I had never played this awful game, and, well, I will give it a shot just because, well, I've heard nothing but the best. Of course, loose copy. We'll make sure everything kind of works eventually, but good start there, I guess. NBA Live 96, I do believe I own. This looks very familiar in terms of what it looks like. I'd have to double check. I do believe I have this already. The two EA titles right off the bat. Next up, I don't know. What is this? My Little Pony precursor. We got Crystal's Ponytail. This is one of the things I couldn't see, I don't think, in the listing, so that'll be interesting to fire up. Alright, so I had the original NBA Jam. This is Tournament Edition. Believe this was another arcade port. I really don't know much about Tournament Edition because I never played it as a kid either. Just had the vanilla NBA Jam, so always good to have another copy of that. NHL 97, the NHL 16-bit games were just glorious. 94 being the primo version of it for sure. I don't think 94 was in this lot, but yet another EA Sports title. And of course, when it comes to offloading video games, sports titles tend to have the lowest value, so of course you'll see it a lot. The Monopoly was a game I did play as a kid. I didn't until recently understand how to really play Monopoly. I always liked the idea of it, even though it could take forever. All loose copies so far. There are some complete in box. I'm not sure how complete in box they'll be, but we got a couple. But here's the next loose title. What am I looking at? Take off some of the tape here and see what we got. Because this would be Paperboy. Okay, so this is the Genesis version of Paperboy. Looks like it was from Blockbuster. Boy, Be Kind, Rewind. That's a throwback. It's kind of weird that Blockbuster would throw this all over the cartridge. I mean, I don't remember renting Genesis games from Blockbuster. There's another store I went to as a kid during the Genesis era, but I don't remember seeing Genesis games I mean, I think I remember something on the top maybe, but definitely not on the front of the cover. A little bit more of a throwback, and I think this probably had the same exact thing, although this one's just beat up. This is NHL in '93, another EA Sports title, and this was before it was just initially just called, you know, NHL. This was NHL PA, which the PA stands for the Players Association, so that's cool. Yet another one. Here we come to yet another Paperboy game. So I have two Paperboys. I mean, these are two Paperboy titles, but 91, 92, so these are definitely, this must be Paperboy 2, if there was one, but yeah, two Paperboy titles right there. This was one of the more interesting of the lot. Panic and, excuse me, Panic on Funkotron, Toe Jam and Earl. I believe loose, this goes for about 15, so not too bad to have that in this little lot. Wasn't a Toe Jam and Earl fan too much, but it's always good to have games like that. Of course, Miss Pac-Man, another one. Just a reskinning of Pac-Man, really. Wasn't really the biggest Pac-Man fan either. You know, the older arcade games like Galaga, Pac-Man, not my style. You know, Space Invaders 91 on the Genesis, of course. Follow me on Instagram, you saw I just got that. Awesome, by the way. Clue, another board game from Parker Brothers in video game form. And this came from a video store called Joint Video Ventures out of Michigan. It's always cool seeing, you know, kind of like a flashback in time to video stores of the past era and seeing how they would put it on games. And there's a void sticker, so I assume you rip it off in some way. It tells you, hey, you shouldn't have done that. These games aren't really the greatest condition in terms of how they look on the outside for sure. 1994 NFL football, Joe Montana. NFL 95 had Joe Montana on it as well. This is not EA Sports, this is Sega's sports title line. They're okay. I mean, they are what they are. This was $3.99 at one point back in 1999. So even back then, this was, you know, I think if you convert that to today's dollars, you might be looking at about an $8 or $10 game, but yeah, I mean, just yet another sports title. Genesis era, really nothing too special when you're talking about maybe your special sports games like Mutant Football League or, of course, NBA Jam. RoboCop versus Terminator, another game I never played. From Virgin Games, of course, they had Lion King, one of my favorite games I played as a kid. Should be interesting to try that out as well. Now we got plenty of boxed games, so we're gonna start from the top that I see. Terminator 2. Let's see, we got complete, maybe not. Open it up, just the game itself, the cartridge. And you know what, if I had any soldering skills, I'd take the battery out of one of these games and put it in my Sonic 3 cartridge, but not too bad. A little dented on the bottom right here. Otherwise, it looks alright. Of course, this is another licensing title, and a lot of licenses were definitely sent out. I believe this is an arcade port, obviously, the arcade game. Complete box? No, just minus the instruction manual. Of course, this is the quintessential Sonic game for a lot of people. Sonic 2. The case right off the bat looks in pretty good shape. This would be where the holder was for the retail pins. Look at that instruction manual. I don't think I have the instruction manual in my copy, so that's nice to have. And this looks in better shape than mine. Like this. Oh wait, maybe not. It's kind of all sorts of messed up, but looking good. Of course, Sonic 2. One of the best selling games for the Genesis, one of the best games for the Genesis. Always good to have an extra copy. It'll probably be just in the resale bin. Now this is a game I had as a kid, don't know where it went, and it's good to have it back complete in the box, baby. Yeah, we got the manual, awesome. Sonic Spinball was a tough one for sure, but it was definitely a, you know, I would say it's a game I really enjoyed as a kid, even if it was kind of tough. Definitely veered away from what Sonic was all about. I mean, it's a pinball version of Sonic, so if you haven't played it, it's always worth a shot. It's in the Genesis collections usually. Let's look at the next set of box games here. Next game is NBA Jam, the original one. So I reacquired. Ooh, looks terrible on the back. I don't know if that's the box itself or it's the actual sleeve. Hope it's the box itself. Nope, it's the sleeve. Awesome. So the sleeve looks like crap on the back, but I had this one as a kid, lost it over time, of course, and it's always good to have the original back. I mean, just this isn't in the greatest condition the way it looks, but once again, another classic back home. Next up, John Madden Football. Boom. 93. This now is the earliest copy of Madden I now own. And it's a thick instruction manual. Just look how big and thick this was back in the day. Of course, this has full rosters in there too. And let's take this out real quick. Go to Green Bay, of course. Take a look at this. QB1, number 7. I don't know if you can see it. Don Mikowski. Number 18, I couldn't tell you. Man, this is kind of cool. Of course, I don't have any of the names in here. I don't know if the NFL was involved with this, to be honest. If licensing wasn't there, then they're not going to have the actual names in there. They'll just do it I mean, football games back in the day are definitely easy pickups in terms of, hey, you want to play some football? I don't play that many football games, but hey, Sega Genesis is not too hard to pick up. And of course, Madden has an interesting story in terms of how it all came to be, where it initially started, which was back on the Commodore, I believe, and the Apple II computer. And those kind of spurred off into the huge success it is now today. Of course, one of the biggest money-making franchises of all time. Speaking of EA Sports titles, NHL 95 is the sequel to what is considered one of the most revered games in NHL history, NHL 94. So obviously the licensing is there for this title. And man, NHL games, once again, another complete, and it comes with a poster even. So I mean, to see all these complete copies is really cool. Of course, you got all the rosters in there as well. This is in really good condition, really. I mean, you got a complete copy. I mean, the cartridge barely looks touched. I mean, if you look at the inside, it looks almost like it's never been used. So I mean, this looks about as brand new as a copy as you can get. I mean, posters in there, all the inserts. I mean, the case itself looks pretty good. I mean, you're gonna have your dents over time. I mean, it wasn't sealed or anything. But yeah, this looks in really good condition. Coming down to our final 4 boxed copies, Jurassic Park. Another classic game back in the day, also complete. And look at that. It's always kind of cool to kind of see how these kind of go over time. Is someone's got their password notebooks in here. You know, that's really cool. Of course, you got a full insert of what this instruction manual was. Instruction manuals were just when you went to get a game with your parents, got in the car, wait to get home, you busted these things open and started reading them because you're like, all right, gotta get ready to play. How do I play it? And Jurassic Park, if you're a fan of licensed games, of course, Jurassic Park is another one of those. Be another fun one. Next game up, I never had as a kid because I was never a Puyo Puyo fan. It's Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, technically a Sonic game. And, well, you want to be really technical, it's kind of, you know, licensed from the TV show itself, because here on the cover, of course, you got Robotnik in his TV series form. You got Coconuts, you got Scratch and Grounder on there. You know, one of my favorite things as a kid was the TV series, and, well, you don't really see too much from those characters ever. This was pretty much it when it came to video games. So, I mean, if you're a Puyo Puyo fan, awesome. This is what this game is essentially all about. Of course, complete in box as well. Instruction manual is kind of a little tattered up, but it is what it is. Probably play it just for the novelty of it a little bit and then kind of call it a day on that and just say, hey, I have yet another Sonic game in my collection, why not? We've down the last 2 games. Not much here. And, well, it'll be interesting to go over that again because it's a duplicate. But Barkley Shut Up and Jam is another basketball game, and Barkley, like Jordan and Shaq, they all had like their own titles in terms of, you know, we're popular enough that the NBA PA is just not gonna pay us enough, so let's go do our own thing. And this was another one. I want to say I played this as a kid. I mean, it's kind of like the precursor to NBA Street because that's essentially what it is. It's just 2-on-2 basketball. It's kind of like an NBA Jam competitor, and I didn't play it really, if at all. So just another sports title in this big lot, and I mean, these games aren't really why I got this lot to begin with. And then here's another repeat. We had NFL 94 earlier, but this time it's complete in box. So that other game can probably just be simply a, hey, we're just gonna send this off for maybe 50 cents. Of course, this was licensed by the NFL, so you did have all the teams and the players on there. And that's Joe Montana. All right, so the coup de grace. Extra adapter, it's good to have as well. because we got 32X Sega CD to power up. Over here we got one of the initial controllers. All of them are the 3-button variants. I mean, this pad feels alright, buttons aren't sticky. Gonna definitely douse this and my hands in sanitizer after I'm done. Cables, this has always been a problem for me on Genesis controllers. Looks pretty good. It has stood the test of time. Most of my controllers are just crap. My original Genesis controllers, I kind of had to get new ones. Sega Genesis Model 2. Looks like it's missing the Sega CD cover. It might be in the box. That wasn't noted on there. But never had the Model 2. As far as I know, there's nothing different between this and the Model 1. This one's just a lighter, better form factor. Kind of, you know, a better, not as much of an eyesore as the first one. But yeah, never had the Model 2, so this will help complete my Sega Genesis collection, which North American wise I have now done, because I have the 3 and, well, I've got a couple Model 1s in here, aside from my original one. This is one of the Model 1s. This has controller pin issues, as noted. So I mean, this is kind of, I don't know, maybe this will just be a novelty for me. Maybe there's something I could do to kind of make it, I mean, scuff-wise it looks pretty decent. It looks fine on the outside, in terms, I mean, outside of that, kind of sucky, but this was noted in the listing. I don't know if you can see it there, but the controller pins had some issues. This one definitely doesn't. I don't know if that's recoverable. Yeah, they look kind of popped off. That one just looks bent. I might be able to fix that one. Controller 2, I don't think so, because there's also one that's like broken in half. Moving on. Ourselves another controller. Always good to have multiple controllers. This one looks just good too. So good to see that. Alright, and we have officially made it to the coup de grace. The Tower of Power, folks. Genesis Model 1, Sega CD Model 1, and then the Sega 32X. Take a look at these all individually. Now 32X is the first time I've held one in my hands. There was one nearby I could have picked up, and he didn't have any cords with it. He wasn't really sure anything about it, and kind of with this guy did not have the connector cable with it. He does have the power cable with it, so I do have the connector cable in the mail as we speak. It should be here today, actually, but need a game to test this with. I don't have any 32X games just yet, but of course you can just plug and play your actual Genesis games in this just as you would normally. And good to see that looking pretty good shape. I mean, this isn't faded away or anything, just your typical scratches. But other than that, it looks good. There's no pins to hold back the cartridge slot in the Model 1 here, as you can see. This one's in far better shape. This is exactly what mine looks like in terms of, it's got the high definition gaming on it, the one I grew up with, and probably just leave this on here because, I don't know. I mean, it looks really, really good condition, a lot better than mine actually does. Might be able to clean some of this up, but we'll check that later and kind of work with that. Of course, the Sega CD here. This one is tough to mess with in terms of if something happens to it. These are a lot harder to fix from what I've been told, but I wanted that Tower of Power, and this was the way to do it. And the lot itself, without shipping, was close to about 200, but considering that I have some trade bait in terms of the games, I mean, it will probably knock me down total cost all said and done, maybe to about 150. Of course, this included the 32X, which was huge for me. Sega CD and this alone can sometimes cost in between that 150 to 200 range, so having the 32X included, as well as getting a box for Sonic Spinball, and then just some of these games like NBA Jam were cool to get. Toe Jam and Earl, another big get. This looks fine. They did say that the Sega CD tray makes a noise when it opens. Not sure what that really meant, but everything was listed to be working, so hopefully everything is really, well, working as it should be. And we'll go ahead and try popping this off here. Take a look at the underside. Take a look there. Looks kind of beat up. I mean, that's just, I think, over years. I don't know if that's kind of like rust or damage or what that could be from. That's kind of protector plate there. There we go. So this was the moment we needed, the moment that we wanted. Sits that there and there. Drop your Sonic and Knuckles in there, and of course, the best game in the world, Sonic 3. Pardon the mess, but it's a work in progress still. But let's fire this on and see what that sound is that they were talking about. Yikes. Alright, well, everything powers on as it should, just that noise is a little sketchy. Of course, Sega CD as it looks. Press the reset button, should open it up. Oy. It pops out just like it should. Press the start button, should do the trick. See if Sonic CD loads up as it should. And so far so good. So we're able to test out several things here, of course. Turn up the volume just a little bit. Everything appears to be just fine though. Make sure looking good. Everything racks. So one of the controllers I'm testing here is, well, one that I just got, and no luck in jumping. D-pad and the start button work just fine. I can't jump at all. That's an issue. Try controller number 2 we were sent. The better looking one. Alright, no problems there. Fortunately the D-pad just feels a little stiffer. But yeah, this remote works a little better. And this kind of proves that. Am I better at people one-handed at Sonic than some are with two? I don't know. It's really hard to see because I'm looking through my camera lens instead of. See if we get in the past. Can't lose the momentum. Bam, there it is. We're in the past. I'm glad that noise that we heard is not like a prevalent thing that we have to worry about. I might kill myself doing that. A little hologram of Sonic, or Metal Sonic. But yeah, it's good that wasn't really a problem. Unfortunately, one of the controllers doesn't work. I mean, it's just unfortunate. It's just Genesis controllers and all, I believe. But still, I don't think he fully tested out everything. I think he kind of mentioned that as well. But everything else seems to be just fine. Genesis controllers are easy to replace. The Sega CD and the 32X are not. Everything looks good. Sonic CD I got today was, well, looks to be in perfect condition. Outside of that smokiness that we kind of already briefly went over, but everything looks good, plays good, sounds good, and you don't hear anything from the system itself, which I imagine has to be a worry for some people that maybe the Sega CD has some grinding issues and maybe sound like, but I hear nothing. The only thing you have is when it just you know, open it up, kind of hear that. Till then, we'll try the 32X once we get our cable connector as well as the, well, a game to test it with. Of course, you can test Genesis games on it as well, but it's a 32X. We want to try a 32X game. So, everything all said and done. Sega CD, awesome. Gonna need some more games for it. If you have any recommendations, of course, let me know. So now I want to turn to you. I want your suggestions. What Sega CD games or Sega 32X games should I immediately go after? I know this is kind of a rising market in terms of pricing. So what do you suggest is the first stuff I go after? Let me know in the comments section down below. Of course, don't forget to drop a like. It'll help us out. Get subscribed so you can get up to date on notifications with new videos such as this. And of course, and as always, thank you and party on.